as the gut-wrenching realization hit his brain. His power to stand left him and he fell to the ground. Seconds later, the contents of his stomach arrived nearby. He went to scream, but only a low gurgle emerged from his lips, driven by deep emotional pain and blind panic. The sort of panic that totally disables the mind, the emotions, and the body, where no other thoughts register. There's just a scream that goes deep inside a man who is on the precipice. He couldn't even bring himself to recall the actions that had gotten him to this place. There was no logic, no excuse, no way out. The lies he had told himself were exposed. There would be no mercy, no second chance. There was no way of making it better, no alternatives. He knew that he was beyond repair, and there was only one way to destroy the pain, and that was to destroy himself, as he had everything else. Now there was only darkness. Do it quickly, the master had said to him earlier when he was leaving the room. He would now. I've tried to imagine how Judas Iscariot must have felt before he committed suicide. What was possibly going through his head? I imagine that he was suffering immense emotional pain, as perhaps anyone who is so desperate to take their own life is. Many commentators have speculated as to why Judas took the action he did. He would go down as the greatest traitor in history. The name Judas died out as a popular name, just like there aren't too many Adolfs around anymore. We can speculate all we like, without necessarily coming up with too many right answers. What we do know from the scriptures is that he was always something of an outsider. He was Judean, while Jesus and the rest of the disciples were from Galilee. Some of the lads probably slagged him about his accent. He probably thought of them the way some Dubliners might think about people from the country, culchies. He did seem to think of himself as being a bit superior. We know that he was the treasurer for the group, and that he also was a thief, hiving a few shekels here and there for himself when he could. This at least suggests that he was in it for himself, rather than being totally dedicated to the gospel that Jesus was preaching. He was the one who scolded Jesus for allowing Mary of Bethany to anoint him with massively expensive perfume. John in his gospel tells us that Judas pretended to be outraged at the excess, stating that the perfume could have been sold and the money used instead to feed the poor. In fact, he was just annoyed that there wasn't a big lump of money coming into the kitty so that he could steal a share of it. So we know that Judas was compromised by his love of money. So compromised that when he got the opportunity, he sold Jesus out to the religious leaders who were still struggling to get their hands on him. And Judas sold him for the same amount as a slave was generally sold, 30 pieces of silver. But was that it? Was it just that he was so greedy that he was prepared to do anything for money? Was he so shallow that he would become a traitor and lead a rabble to arrest Jesus, that he would greet him with the kiss of friendship while betraying him? We don't know if he was disappointed that Jesus wasn't going to take the throne of Herod or get rid of the Romans, that the kingdom he had been talking about for the previous 4 years was not in a reinvigorated state of Israel, where he, Judas, would have a powerful role at the side of Jesus. So much is unclear, except that the Bible says Satan entered into him, and he did a truly terrible deed. It seems that the madness that had closed his eyes to the consequences of his actions lifted, and that he realized what he had done. He tried to give back the money to declare Jesus innocent, but look, no one was interested. And so in desperation and utter brokenness, Judas killed himself even before Jesus was tried before Pilate. One of my favorite paintings is The Taking of Christ by Caravaggio. If you've never seen it in the flesh, as it were, I strongly recommend you take a trip to the National Gallery and have a look at the painting when the gallery reopens. Part of the picture has a soldier in armour, which brightly reflects the light. Some art experts believe that Caravaggio painted it in that way to act like a mirror, inviting the viewers to see themselves reflected in the behaviour of Judas, who through their own daily acts betray Jesus through their sin. No doubt all of us at some stage have let Jesus down badly, just as his disciples did at the time of his arrest. What is truly sad about this story is that Judas didn't get it. There was no crime, no sin, no horrendous mistake that could not be forgiven. Peter denied Jesus. His other disciples ran away. But even as he died on the cross, Jesus was asking his Father to forgive those who were executing him. Thankfully, Peter and the other disciples saw the resurrected Jesus and became changed men. They knew the beauty of forgiveness, something Judas denied himself. If you find it hard to forgive yourself for something you've done, or you think that God cannot forgive you, please think again. There is nothing that God cannot deal with.